So, access, organization. The next thing you need is you need formative assessment. Formative assessment is very important. You cannot just give the students a pile of instruction, whether digital or textual, and just expect them to complete all of it. That is not effective teaching. There must be waypoints and checks along the way. Now that formative assessment could again be digital in nature. It could be an ed puzzle, it could be interactive videos, could be a quiz online, it could be a Google form, or it could be a whisk where the student creates those questions based on the learning and using Crystal Kirch's method. It could also be one of the best ways for formative assessment, and that's that one-on-one conversation. The best formative happens when you're forming relationships. And so formative assessment is key to every flipped classroom. The idea of the flipped classroom is not to distance the teacher and the student, but to take those things that can be put in that home space, allowing the teacher and the student to interact in a more meaningful way. And that's where this idea of formative assessment really comes into its own through conversation and relationship. The other thing that I tend to do is I have whiteboards all the way around my classroom. I even had to go make some of my own to make sure I had enough. Some people use the little whiteboards like this, but the nice thing about the whiteboards on the walls is I have those demonstration of those practice components from my dibs, and I have all the students put them up either individually or in a team or in a group, depending on the situation, and I can quickly look around the room and determine who needs help, who's all right, who really needs help right now and needs that one-on-one discussion, or who just needs a pat on the back for doing a great job. All of those things can be done in a no-tech board method, and for me it works effectively. There's enough tech in my class. Not everything has to be tech. So use formative assessment as appropriate. That brings us to the next piece of your flip framework. There has to be interaction. I cannot send a 15-minute video home and expect a student just to stare at it and get out of it what I need. One of the best things in a video situation is either a written guided note component, like one of my colleagues uses. It could be the whisk component where the student is looking for their question to come out of this for their homework, or it could be an ed puzzle where the video literally stops and the student has to answer the question before moving on. Or it could be something where they interact with somebody else on a particular topic on a discussion board or a blog. It could be a variety of things, but even in the individual space, there has to be interaction. Now in the group space, that's where really the interaction is key, because to interact with other students and with the teacher means that the student has to check their opinions, their learning, and their demonstrations with others, and that's where an accountability aspect comes in, as well as finding someone they're comfortable talking with, learning with. So interaction is key to a flipped learning environment. Finally, assessment. Your framework has to have assessment. And that assessment could be traditional classroom assessment. I'm still a big fan. I'm still a big fan of objective demonstrations of math skills. But I also have been adding on almost every test a portion of the test where students create. And the reason I have them create is because if you can get a student creating a math problem that fits a certain set of criteria, that means they have chosen between what does have the criteria, what does not have the criteria. What is an easy problem to do? What would make that problem difficult? Can I accomplish this? Can others accomplish this? There's a variety of very adult decisions that go into a creation level assessment that don't happen in an objective assessment. And for me, that's key. And so the students either really like it or they really don't. In either case, I don't know that I care, because it's really effective. Because it is really effective in their learning. So creation in assessment. The other thing that I enjoy doing for assessment is, I have a phrase, it's a saying, a motto, that practice is preparation for presentation. All those little demonstrations and all those little practice components are all there just so a student is ready to present it, either to me, to another student, to a group of students, or even more broadly, Why does a student have to just present to a class, or why does a student have to present to a teacher? With the digital environment, the same tools that are good for me are good for students. One of my favorite things that I like to do for assessment is do group projects, and they have to put together their own presentation. And that could be a slides, PowerPoint, it could be a video, it could be acting it out, it could be pictures, it could be art piece, it could be any number of things. One of the things I always disliked about group projects in my classroom is they took so much class time to sit and watch a person present their project, because it was a very temporary and very fleeting thing. But now, every student that has a cell phone has a video camera in their pocket. Why not create something digitally and either put it on YouTube, put it on the internet, or give it to me digitally so it can be cataloged or curated on the school site so that the students create their own library of learning. In my book, that's the best way to start the year in a math class. So it's all assessment, and it's assessment that I would have never done or even attempted without having this framework to work within. So the framework, remember, it has to be accessible. It has to be organized. It has to be a framework that includes formative assessment. It has to be a framework that includes interaction, and it has to be a framework that includes some sort of summative assessment. All of those things are necessary to fulfill the definition of flip. So let's see what flip might look like in a few other situations here in the next video.